Hello and welcome to 10 for 10, 10 sports topics with the News 10 Sports team. I am Sports Director Griffin Haas. He is Brian Rudman. And Brian, we begin this episode of 10 for 10 with your New York Jets. We are recording this just moments after they lost 27-14 to the New England Patriots. A huge win for the Patriots. They are now 9-2 ahead of Buffalo, who is 6-3. So they are in firm control of the AFC East. The Jets fall to 2-8. And you know, the funny thing is they were winners of 2 in a row, and we didn't even have too much time to enjoy it before they fall to the Patriots.
No, I mean, you didn't. I'll say this. I think the Patriots are just a better team right now. You watch that game, and I don't think you even say the Jets played a poor game. I think it's clear Justin Fields is just not – he just doesn't get it done for the Jets.
He's not very good.
He limits the offense. I think if you're a Jets fan, you got to look at it from the scope of the pieces of this team that you want there for the future looked relatively good. The O-line won at the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball effectively. I think parts of the defense showed promises. I just think on the defensive side, they just don't have the personnel to match up with the Patriots. They couldn't play man, and Drake May, and we'll get to him in a second, he's just too good of a quarterback to play constant zone.
Yeah, the defense was interesting because they had moments where they stood up in some key spots.
Yeah.
But they also had moments where it looked like Drake May might not throw an incompletion all night.
Right.
I think he started at least 10 for 10.
I think he got at least 10 for 10.
Yes. Drake May is a huge 10 for 10 guy.
Huge 10 for 10
He has reached out. He is a huge 10 for 10 guy. He went 10 for 10 in honor of 10 for 10.
Yeah. I think he did push it to 11. But
he was 10 for 10.
He was 10 for 10 at one point.
Let's not ruin it. He was 10 for 10.
No, I think Drake May's really good, and I think the Jets just don't have the personnel on the back end right now to match up in man coverage. And when you have to play constant zone against a good quarterback, he's going to eat you alive. He's going to pick you apart. And then the Jets had to start blitzing, and sometimes it got home. But, I think for the Jets, the pieces that you want there long-term look decent tonight. And I think it's just you chalk it up to the Jets are just not a good team right now.
No, and I think they played as close as they could have played this game. Like I think if you're a Jets fan, you walk away like, you know what, they played well. Aaron Glenn took the ball out of the hat, took the ball to start the game, which was kind of an aggressive decision. He does that. They go out, they score, they go up 7-0.
Yeah,
They
8-minute drive. It was
they were
great.
into the game.
Yeah.
Then the defense in the second quarter was really bad. They had the 2 touchdowns drives, their first 2 drives. But they were in the game. It was 14-7. It was 21-7. They cut it to 21-14. I think the fumble kind of hurt. Obviously, the Patriots got that field goal, and then the Fields coughs it up. They held him to a field goal. The defense stood up there, held him to a field goal. So it was a relatively close game for a Thursday night on the road against a really good Patriots team.
Yeah.
And Drake May is really, really good.
Yeah, Drake May is really good. I'll get to him. I just want to say one more thing on the Jets. I think as much as we've complained about Aaron Glenn and he's kind of made some interesting choices in his press conferences, I think the one thing that I liked is that this team didn't bend tonight. They didn't break tonight. They bent. And I think they continue to fight in a game where it was clear they were outmatched, and I think that goes back to coaching. So I think that was a promising thing from Aaron Glenn in this game.
And with that, we do have to mention the Aaron Glenn press conference moment of the week. And that was...
It's like a weekly segment on 10 for 10.
Aaron Glenn press conference moment of the week. And that is when he was asked about Garrett Wilson's injury.
Yeah.
And if he was going to be out 3 weeks. Rich Cimini had reported it from ESPN. A great reporter at ESPN who's reported on the Jets for years.
Yep.
And he reported he was going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. And Aaron Glenn was like, oh, well, don't ask me, ask Rich. Rich isn't here, but ask him. Oh, if you want to go reporting things, like making this whole,
out of Rich Cimini doing his job.
Rich Cimini just doing his job, not even saying anything negative, it's just an injury.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, Garrett Wilson goes on the IR.
Yeah.
and is out for 4 weeks.
It is interesting to me, like Aaron Glenn seems to have this thought that what he says in his press conference gives the other team an advantage. Like admitting that Garrett Wilson was going to miss the Thursday night game on an injury was going to give the Patriots an advantage. Yeah. Saying who your starting quarterback is when it's clearly obvious who it's going to be.
We need to get drops for this show because I want to hear the Aaron Glenn press conference moment of the week. But yeah, so the Jets I did think held up relatively well. I mean, they have no talent on the offense. Like the difference is, as you mentioned, Fields and May. I mean, the Jets ran the ball for 140 yards. Patriots only ran it for 65. It's just that Fields threw for 116 yards on 26 attempts, and on 34 attempts, May threw for 281, a touchdown, no picks, didn't turn the ball over.
That's the difference.
They have a guy, and the Jets don't. And the Patriots are more talented all around.
Yeah,
but that's the biggest difference, at least in this game.
Yeah, when you look at this game, it was the Patriots, because Stephon Diggs has been fantastic, and Trevion Henderson looks like he's going to be a star, but the Jets also have a running back who's quite good in Breece Hall. There's not much of a discrepancy in the talent around the quarterback in terms of options. I think Stephon Diggs is a very good wide receiver, but aside from him, it's not like the Patriots are rolling out these superstars on the outside. Drake May is hitting his targets, and he's just operating the offense at an effective level. Meanwhile, Justin Fields is dragging the Jets offense down in the passing game.
Yeah, so this is May's second year, right?
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure I have that factually correct. I mean, he has already 2,555 passing yards, 19 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's completing 71% of his passes.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. You see a lot of guys take a step back in their sophomore season.
Yeah.
He has made an absolute leap forward where he is a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Right now he's playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league and is going to be in MVP talks, and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of times you hear fans chanting MVP for their star quarterback. You go, all right, let's pump the brakes here. This is well-deserved, and you watch him, and you and I watched this entire game.
Yeah.
He looks fantastic. He looks like everything they've wanted, and he's got, I mean, Trevion Henderson tonight looked like the next star running back for the New England Patriots, so that helps them as well. And I think, I shout out, I highlighted Aaron Glenn. Let's highlight Mike Vrabel. He's been phenomenal for this Patriots team this year.
He's turned it around. They have the right guy there.
Yeah,
it's the little things with May, too, that don't show up in the stat sheet. Like, I remember there was one play. I think it was a third down. They were driving. They bring pressure. He feels the pressure from both sides, steps up, and then slides to the right out of the pocket and finds Stephon Diggs for a first down. And it's just like veteran pocket presence, like just he is the complete package, and it looks like the Patriots have found another quarterback before the Jets or the Dolphins. Yeah. Because that's what that's what life brings us. And we didn't even really get to mention it because they played the Thursday night game, but this is also coming off
a huge
win over the Bucs. So they've now won is it 7 in a row now? 8 in a row? 1, 2, 3,
believe it's 8.
5, 6,
right?
8. Yep.
They're 9-2, 8 in a row.
8 in a row.
A huge win, and it becomes even larger because we'll get to the Bills later on in the show. But what the Bills lost to the Dolphins, your Dolphins.
Love it.
I mean, the Patriots in firm control of this AFC East, and they brought it up a lot on the broadcast tonight. They have a relatively easy schedule. The Bills and the Ravens are really their only two games where they'll have a tough time, I think, going forward. The Patriots, this division is theirs for the taking.
Now, I think the Buccaneers game was big because that was a game where it's like they'd won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And they were playing a really good team on the road. I thought it was a spot they were gonna drop, and they didn't. So that was big. I think if you're playing devil's advocate, the only thing that you can say about this Patriots run right now is that their wins, other than the Bucs and the Bills, which again, you could say that about a lot of teams, the wins they have not played great competition, and they really won't play great competition for the rest of the season. They lost to the Raiders and Steelers. The Raiders game we could throw out. I don't know what happened there, week 1. But they beat the Dolphins, the Panthers, who were okay, but I think that they're worse than their record even says. They beat the Bills, like we mentioned. They beat the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons, Buccaneers, Jets, and some of these are close games. Now, you beat who's on your schedule. So It's not necessarily a criticism.
Yeah.
It's just saying,
I would say it's more of a question to can they make a deep
when
playoff
they get
run?
into the playoffs, like
Right.
they are in control. They're going to have. It looks like they're going to have a home playoff game.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be competing for that number one seed.
Because here's the thing: the next 2 games, it doesn't get much harder. They play the Bengals next week. It's going to be Flacco, and their offense has been great. So it's not even a knock on Joe Flacco. It's just saying that
Drake May should have another strong game.
And then they play the Giants, which is going to be a relatively they got a good chance to win that one.
Win.
They play the Bills. They play the Ravens. Both
tough.
Relatively tough games. They've already beat the Bills. They get the Bills at home.
Yeah.
Play the Ravens. And then they play the Jets and the Dolphins. So this is a team that, I mean, there are only 2 what you'd call tough games left on their schedule. So they're going to be looking at, you can be looking at 13.
Yeah, they're in control.
Yeah, you could be looking at 13 wins there.
Yeah.
So they've turned it around quickly. It just shows in the NFL that people want to tell you that it takes a long time to turn it around, and it really doesn't take that long if you have the right people in charge, and especially if you have a head coach and a quarterback.
Yeah, the right head coach and the right quarterback, and you can turn things around very quickly. We've seen it. Patriots, I mean, the Commanders turned things around quickly last year. You've seen it. When you got the right guy leading the team and the right guy leading the offense, you can do some special stuff quickly.
And as for the Jets, next week they have the Ravens.
Not fun.
It's going to be a tough one. A Ravens team that absolutely will need to win that game.
Yeah.
So that will be a difficult task for the New York Jets. But hey, you want to see them compete, and still losing is actually not a bad thing.
Right,
for the
it's
draft
not
pick.
the end of the world. Listen, I always want to see the Jets win. I'm never going to complain about a win, but at this point, losing not the end of the world. It can help the draft stock. Realistically, I want to see them play a game like they did today, where the offensive line can create some running lanes for Breece Hall and Justin Fields, and you hope that in spots the defense can stand up and make some plays. They're going to be outmatched. It's just the way it is the rest of the year. You hope they show some fight.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are talking Giants and Bills on 10 for 10. Welcome back to 10 for 10. Now we are talking New York Giant football and a big week in Giant land. The Giants fire head coach Brian Daboll after blowing another double-digit lead on the road. It was the 4th time this season that they blew double-digit leads on the road. And a lot of people are going to point to, Brian Daboll as being a great offensive mind. Obviously, with Jackson Dart, they've looked a lot better. But the bottom line is they've gone 2-8 4 years in a row. And that's just simply not good enough. And the Giants made that clear by firing Daboll early in the week.
Yeah, and I think it was time because there were some positives this year, right? Jackson Dart taking over, and there seemed to be that jolt of life in this franchise after the Eagles win. But it became clear that beyond just the quarterback and the offense, there are serious problems with this team. They can't hold on to leads. And when you do that consistently over and over again, it goes back to the head coach. And now year in, year out with Brian Daboll, they just haven't been able to figure it out. I mean, they only had 3 wins last year. They were not good this year. Even after you get that initial jolt from Dart into the lineup, they just keep losing these games that they really should be winning when you look at how the game flows and how they're up. And it goes back to the head coach, and it was time for Brian Daboll to leave.
Yeah, and it just goes back to you need to get results at some point. And it just felt like after each season there were excuses, and the quarterback was Daniel Jones. Well, now look what Daniel Jones is doing in Indianapolis. So if he's this quarterback whisperer, then how did he not get anything out of Daniel Jones? Obviously the roster wasn't very good, but still, you'd think that it would look more competent than it did with Daniel Jones in there. And that also, when you look at, people point to how he is with quarterbacks, it's like, well, his other quarterback was Josh Allen that he had a lot of success with. So, and he has a long resume. He's a proven coach. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. I do think he's a good offensive coach, but he proved that, again, it comes down to results, and he wasn't getting the results. I think this goes even a little bit further with, I am surprised that they were immediately saying, we're going to keep Joe Shane. He's going to be our general manager, because it felt like before the season, the Maras were saying, this is like, we're bringing everybody back, but this year, like, we need results, and otherwise we have to make a change. Maybe that's just Brian Dable and being the head coach. I think that there's a lot of questionable things on this roster. Like, when you look at their last draft, okay, great. They got Abdul Carter, who is a no-brainer. Yeah. They got Jackson Dart, who seems more of a Brian Dable pick than a Joe Shane pick. It did not seem like Joe Shane during that whole documentary process they had really was a huge...
Dable seemed to be the advocate for Jackson Dart.
They got Scadaboo, who was a fourth-round pick, so credit there. But in total, they don't have a ton of talent on this roster.
Yeah.
So, and also, I'm pretty sure Dable also wanted Malik Neighbors, who they ended up getting, who was phenomenal as well. And so I think Shane was more of a Roma Dunze guy, who's also a good player. But,
right. Sure.
So it just feels like, and also to me, in the NFL, when you do things in half measures, it never works. Yeah. So, like, you're going to have a GM now who's going to pick the coach. But if it doesn't go well, the GM's going to get fired, and they're going to bring a new GM in who's going to want his own coach.
Right.
And it just doesn't work that way. I would rather you just say, we're starting completely over. We're going to bring in a new guy to lead this organization from a general manager standpoint, to hire his own coach and just start new. And it doesn't seem like they're going to do that.
Yeah, it seems like Shane may have bought himself a little bit more time. Like, it's similar to Dable when they had this jolt of energy and they got those couple wins and the young guys seemed to be panning out. It almost seemed like Dable and Shane had bought themselves a little more time. But with the late collapses over and over again, the blame got shifted onto Dable, and it seems like it really hasn't been put on Shane at all. There are problems with this roster for sure. Shane has committed a lot of resources to the defensive line and left some holes in other places. Abdul Carter was a no-brainer in that pick this year, but there's a lot been put into that D-line, not much else.
Well, the D-line was supposed to be vaunted, and it hasn't really been great. Like Dexter Lawrence has disappeared, and that's also can be put on coaching, whatever you want to put it on.
Right.
But they've put all their resources into one spot on the defensive side of the ball, and it hasn't panned out.
It hasn't worked. Yeah, so I do think Shane is in the hot seat, should be, but I agree with you. It is,
but it does
when you go halfway, it creates that tricky situation.
But it feels like he's not in the hot seat, because now it feels like they're saying he's going to pick the next coach. I mean, if it doesn't go well, you're going to fire him next year. Like, it seems like this is a pretty firm endorsement of Joe Shane. If they bring him back next year and it doesn't go well and then they fire him again, that is what you're setting yourself up for potentially, but that would be an absolute disaster. So yeah, I would just rather, let's just cut ties with this whole group. This is the guy who picked Brian Dable. So if you really think he wasn't a good head coach, well, you're trusting the guy to pick the next head coach who picked this one. So I would just rather completely start over. And I do think that moving forward here, Mike Kafka, named interim head coach, he's a guy who's gotten looks at not only high-profile offensive coordinator jobs, he was the assistant head coach of the Giants. He's gotten some head coaching interest before.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Mike Kafka is actually going to have a legitimate chance to try to earn this job. So I think how they play throughout the rest of the year, we've looked at it as, okay, we want to see how Jackson Dart plays. Well, now Jackson Dart's going into concussion protocol.
Right.
I think at the end of the year now also becomes about, what is Mike Kafka like as a head coach? Can he get these guys to continue to play? Is he a guy that potentially could lead this franchise going forward?
Yeah, I mean, a week or two ago, we were having those conversations about Dable. Like, can he keep these veterans, especially on the defensive side, locked in? What can Kafka get out of this team down the stretch? They're 2-8. They're not going to the playoffs. No. They're not making a push. They're not going to be in the chase. What can he get out of this group? And especially with Jackson Dart, I think I like naming Jameis Winston the starter. Russell Wilson clearly wasn't doing anything special. I think Jameis Winston's an energy guy, and that could start, help with that. We'll see what he gets out of this team.
And that was going to be my next point. Is it does feel like that was a move that I think that when they brought in Russell Wilson, you're kind of tied to Russell Wilson because of who he is and his status. And okay, now. Well, I think it made him harder to pull him for Dart. I think it makes it harder for Dable, at least, because Dable, was one of the guys who brought him in to say, we're going to move Russell even down the depth chart to third because a lot of people were calling already for why isn't Jameis playing?
Right.
Why isn't he the backup? I was one of them. I love Jameis.
Yeah.
He's a great backup.
I'm a huge Jameis
energy
fan.
guy. The quotes were unbelievable at his press conference on Wednesday. Singing Hamilton and all that stuff.
Yep.
He's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable human being. One of one. So I think a lot of people are like, why aren't they going to do this? I think it's kind of a new sheriff in town kind of thing where it's like, you know what, we're starting new here. People, it made it easier for them to go to Jameis.
Yes.
Now with a new head coach, new direction, new spark. So I think that's another plus of having some new blood in there, a new head coach, a new mind to be like, you know what, let's give Jameis a chance.
And I think for Kafka, it's a good move because even if it doesn't pan out, you look at it and you go, all right, well, we're at least we're calling a spade a spade. Russell Wilson is not getting the job done. We're going to look at another option right now. He's been bad this season. He's been bad. It's just like when you watch him come into the game after Jackson Dart, it's like watching a different sport. It's I was really wondering why it wasn't. You sit there and wonder why Jameis is not the QB2 in that game.
Jameis. Also, let's just make it from a fan's perspective. Let's just make this entertaining.
Yeah, I as a Jets fan for years, I've said I want Jameis Winston as my backup because he's at least fun to watch.
Jameis Winston's going to throw 4 touchdowns or 4 picks or maybe both.
Yeah.
And that's electric.
He's going to throw. He's going to take his shots, man. He's going to be fun to watch.
And when you look at it for the Giants, this is going to be a true test of Mike Kafka, at least for the next 3 games. They have the Packers at home, Lions on the road, Patriots on the road, which looks like that's Monday Night Football as well. Then you have, the Commanders who, without Jane Daniels, have not looked great. The Vikings, who are a team that's kind of middling, but they're not a walk in the park. The Raiders, and then who stink. And the Cowboys, who, this is another part of it, Brian Daboll never beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Here's a Giants head coach, and he's been there for, 5 years?
This is his 4th season.
This is his 4th season. They have never beat the Cowboys. He has never beat the Cowboys.
He's, what, 0-7 against them?
Cowboys are world beaters.
No.
During that stretch. They were bad last year. They're not great this year.
Yeah.
And what did they lost by 3? That was that crazy game that went in that 40-37 game earlier in the year. But so now there's another thing for Giants fans to look out for. You're basically watching 3 things. Jackson Dart, when he comes back.
Right.
Can he protect himself? I think you're kind of proving that he's the guy. And that's another thing with Daboll is
he kept putting Dart in harm's way.
He put him in harm's way a lot of times. I'm wondering, a lot of people have wondered, did that contribute to why?
Well, we touched on it last week.
You can't just keep putting him in those situations.
No,
he's going to put himself in those situations sometimes.
Absolutely.
You can't exacerbate that by calling so many quarterback run plays.
That quarterback run. First of all, he's not Josh Allen. I'm not saying in terms of skill, which I'm not even putting him in that conversation. I'm just talking physique. Josh Allen is a bigger guy. He can take more of those hits. Jackson Dart is not that guy. You can use it in certain scenarios. I'm sure they will going forward. 3rd and short. Goal to go. You can't keep calling up these design runs, though, and getting him
and also coaching him to
you got to teach him to get down.
You can't just be like, hey, just put your shoulder down. But Daboll knew that he needs to win every game he can. Yeah. So I think that is a part of it as well.
Yeah.
So you're watching the Jackson Dart thing. You're watching Kafka. What kind of head coach is he? Is he a candidate going into the year? And then you're now on high draft pick watch. Very high.
Very much so.
And you could have a good spot where you might have, if you could get into that top 3, top 4, you might have quarterback needy teams that want to move up. The Giants would be in a great spot because they already have their guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get Neighbors back next year and they have some talent. So that'll be one to watch. And like we said, they play the Packers next week or this week, upcoming week. We move on to the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins.
Here we go.
Absolutely destroy the Buffalo Bills. 30-13 in, I think, maybe the most stunning outcome of the year. One of them for sure in the top 3. Definitely the most stunning of the week. Right after the Chiefs game, it feels like, and these are letdown spots.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels like the Chiefs are the Bills are riding high. It's kind of their regular season Super Bowl, so to speak, to beat the Chiefs. And then they go into this game, and it was not close from the start. The Dolphins absolutely bullied them.
Yeah, no, start to finish. Dolphins were in charge wire to wire, and it's one of those, I think we had talked about it where, yeah, it could be a letdown spot, but the Bills should be so much better than the Dolphins that even if they come out a little slow, they should find a way to win this game. They did not. The Dolphins were all over them, looked great doing it. And I think we talked about how much the Bills have looked good, and that's a big Chiefs win, and they come out and do this, and once again, you kind of point your eyes back to the problems that they have, and it's troubling not just because it was a letdown, but you got to win these games if you're going to find success in January because it sets up for
and
where
also,
you want to be.
if you're chasing down, the Patriots who we talked about in the AFC, like these are the games you need to win, especially coming off of that Chiefs game. I thought this game would be close, even as a Dolphins fan. I was like, I think this game's gonna be close. It just felt like coming off the Chiefs game, but the Bills will find a way to pull it out. I mean, the Dolphins didn't allow it to be close, and I just have to go on a Dolphins soliloquy for a second because it is just so fitting as a Dolphins fan that every single year we have needed to beat the Bills when we have been in the AFC East race. We have not beaten the Bills, and we've mainly gotten crushed by the Bills. 7 straight times going into this game, they have lost. Now the Dolphins are seemingly out of it, 2-7 going into the game, and this is when they decide to win. So yes, as a Dolphins fan, I was happy to beat the Bills, but it was also like, really? Yeah. Now is the time you guys want to do this? Now is the time you guys actually want to beat the Bills? So I just had to get that off of my chest. Another thing I will say, and this is not just Dolphins-Bills bias, and I wasn't really buying it as much after the Chiefs game because, again, they do this every year. I'm not buying the Bills. I'm not buying the Bills. I think that they will be a team that can make the AFC Championship game. I do not think – can they win the Super Bowl? Sure. Yes. With Josh Allen, you can win the Super Bowl just because he's that good.
Yeah.
I'm not buying them as one of the top Super Bowl teams just because – one, I don't think that they have performances like that against bad teams. Sure, it's the NFL any given Sunday.
Yeah.
The defense is concerning. I mean, the Dolphins ran the ball all over them. And they did some really good stuff schematically. They don't have a great offensive line. Devon Achane ran the ball 22 times for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that was the Bills' problems with run defense, linebacker play. Oh, they beat the Chiefs, everything's fixed. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about that. And again, when they need a guy, Josh Allen's running around out there trying to make things happen. Yeah. And just nobody's open. And he missed a couple of reads, a couple of throws, sure. But for the most part, other than Shakir on those kind of closer intermediary routes, or like James Cook out of the backfield, Keon Coleman, he scored in this game, made a nice play, but for the most part has not been impressive on the outside. Kincaid keeps getting hurt. There's just no go-to.
There's not enough
option there that scares
for Josh Allen. Yeah, there's not enough, especially stretching the field.
He's going to find himself in a big playoff game, and the Chiefs are going to have guys to go to, and the Ravens are going to have guys to go to, and it's going to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, and you talk about the run defense. At some point, they're probably going to have to play the Ravens. The Ravens run the ball very well, and that'll be problematic for the Bills. And to your point about any given Sunday, anyone can beat anyone. Any given Sunday, it's the NFL. Super Bowl contenders do not get blown out in divisional games like this.
No.
They just don't.
I also would like the Bills' use of James Cook is maddening to me. I can't understand it. I'm watching this game from obviously my Dolphins lens, but also like a football lens, and we follow the Bills here, so I'm looking at what they're doing. And they get down to the red zone, and they just take James Cook out of the game. Yeah. They put in Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, and it's third down in like goal to go situations or like red zone situations, and they're taking James Cook out of the game. I know that these other guys have skill sets, whether it's passing or pass blocking or receiving out of the backfield. James Cook is your best offensive player other than Josh Allen on the field. Have him on the field to at least have the threat of we're going to give the ball to James Cook. Yeah. The fact that they take him out in so many big situations is mind-blowing to me. And he only had 13 carries in this game, and he had, I'm not even trying to see, did he have a reception? He had 5 receptions, but only for 24 yards. So he had 18 touches. He's got to have even more
for a star running back when he's your best weapon. That's got to be in the 20 to 30
And
range.
to be honest,
in a
those
game.
receptions, a lot of them were like, it's like end of the game. We're
Yeah.
trying to just get we're dinking and dunking. They had a couple on the last drive when it was 30 to 13. And I know what you're saying. It's like, well, you can't run the ball as much because it's 30 to 13. It's like there were opportunities. It was 16-0 at halftime that no one scored in the third quarter. There were times. It's not like they were in we have to.
No, they
got to
find ways to get James Cook the ball more.
If you're gonna have Keon Coleman be your best receiver on the outside, you got to go through James Cook. And I know we're talking about Josh Allen, or we were just talking about Jackson Dart not running as much. It's fine if you don't want to do it in the regular season. I think they're going to have to also work in more of Josh Allen running late in the year. He had 4 carries for 31 yards in this game. It just feels like they've gone away from using that unless they're like in that goal to go. And if it's just to like not get him beat up in the regular season, I totally understand that. Why do that against the Dolphins? But also, you need to win some of these games to get to that point. And he's going to have to be Superman for them to make it to the AFC Championship game and to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think for the Bills, it's starting to settle in that this team is not built as well as some of the former Bills teams who have really contended for that Super Bowl position and who have been viewed as Super Bowl contenders. They're going to need to, like you said, they're going to need Josh Allen. It's going to be because of Josh Allen.
And we talk about Super Bowl window, and like Super Bowl window, I think gets thrown around like too much. Like I do think that if you have Josh Allen playing as like Josh Allen, your Super Bowl window is open. Like he is that good.
Yes.
I have nothing but respect for Josh Allen. But at the same time, you need to optimize this time with Josh Allen. And going into the year, it was like I think everyone knew they needed a wide receiver, another threat.
Yeah.
And they just didn't address it. They didn't address it through the draft. They didn't bring anybody in. They're like, oh, well, we'll spread it out a bunch. That's fine. You can do that. I think that the best offenses are not just, hey, we'll go to this number one guy. Yeah. It's not like you were asking you to bring in Justin Jefferson or somebody like that.
Right.
But somebody else to stretch the field, and they could have done it at the trade deadline. They didn't do it there either. Now they go into a game with the Bucs, and the Bucs are coming off a loss.
Yeah,
to the
Bucs
Patriots.
need a win. Yeah,
and the Bucs are in a spot where they're going to be. They need a win, so that's going to be a big game. It's a tough game. Then they go to the Texans, who, if CJ Stroud's back, the Texans' defense is a top 3, top 5 defense at least.
They're very
in football.
good. They're a very
That's
good.
That's not
unit.
easy. The Steelers are a team that are going to be in the playoff mix. The Bengals are, Joe Burrow could be back for that game. They play the Patriots again, and then the Browns. You got the Jets and the Eagles. So this is not a walk in the park schedule, especially if you're losing games to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, if they come out and play the way that they did in Miami, they're in trouble.
Yeah,
I mean, this has got to be a wake up call. Similar to what that Falcons game was, but even more so. This has got to be a wake-up call to this team. If they want to be where they set their goals for, they got to make some big improvements.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got some basketball and some baseball. All right, welcome back to 10 for 10, and we are talking to the NBA now in an unfortunate yet fortunate news for the New York Knicks. They lost on Wednesday night to the Orlando Magic. Now, things were looking good for the Knicks. They were 7-3 going into that game. It felt like they were kind of turning into, they had scored 137, 134, and 133 points 3 nights in a row. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Offense is working. They lose to the Magic on a back-to-back, which back-to-back in the NBAs are tough.
Yeah.
The real story is Jalen Brunson went down and then apparently was seen to some reports leaving the arena on crutches and in a protective boot, which makes you think
not a good
absolute
sign.
Worst.
Right.
According to Shams, Brunson has a grade 1 right ankle sprain, and he will be evaluated daily. So he's out. He's not going to play against the Heat,
right?
Which will be tonight when you're watching this, Friday night. But it looks a little bit more day-to-day, so it seems like the Knicks dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, for sure. And, if they had lost Brunson for any significant amount of time, we turn that, this is a team that can really be competing for the Eastern Conference, to now they're in kind of a similar boat to the Celtics where they're without their best player. Definitely dodged a bullet. One thing to keep an eye on, it's the same ankle that he injured at the end of last regular season, so it is a little concerning that that's a repeat injury, but definitely dodged a bullet. It could have been much worse.
Yeah, he hurts. He's had some ankle issues. I think that even if he was out 2 to 3 weeks, I don't think it's like, because that's kind of what, if he was out, obviously he's out for the season, that changes their whole season. But if he was out for a couple weeks, as long as he's back for the playoffs, they should be fine. Yeah. But I will say, and you want him to get him back not as quickly as possible. You want him to obviously heal 100%.
Right.
But this is a team that is learning a new offense and seems like they're really starting to figure it out. And it is a lot about getting that chemistry, even though a lot of these guys have played together, getting another year under your belt, and especially under a new system. So I think that's the biggest part, is just getting them back so they can continue to develop that as they had been. But I think if this was the best news that the Knicks could have gotten going into that Miami.
Yeah, best news in a bad situation. And then something else that I think whenever you get him back, you do want to rack up wins early in the season before other teams could potentially get healthy. And you want to establish yourselves as 1 or 2 seed going into the playoffs, so you set yourself up for success when we get to May and June.
All right, we're going to move on to the hot stove, the MLB hot stove, starting to heat up a little bit. We've got, meetings and winter meetings and all that stuff. Not quite the winter meetings, but the GMs are getting together and agents and all that good stuff. So we don't have anything firm right now. There's no, obviously people are being attached. Teams are being attached to certain players, mainly rumors. So we're not going to dive into any of that. I'll ask you, because you're a resident Red Sox fan here on the 10 for 10 show here. So what would be your ideal offseason? Now, obviously, your ideal offseason would just be signing everyone, but ideal, realistic offseason for the Boston Red Sox.
I would love to see the Red Sox bring back Kyle Schwarber, who they had for late in that 21 season.
I love Schwarber.
They need a
great Red Sox.
He's such a great. He's a Red Sox vibes guy. He fits there.
That'd be great.
He was fantastic.
That'd be great for baseball.
They need a power bat. They need an everyday DH in the middle of their lineup. They need that. I think they need to improve at first base. Ideally, it's Pete Alonso, but that's also a far stretch. I do think he's going to wind up back on the Mets. It does seem like the
main name outside of the Mets that has been attached to Pete.
But as time's gone on, I would very much like them to bring Bregman back. I think he was a huge part of that team last year, and I think
you have to bring Bregman back.
I think he would be huge because I think this goes to show how important he was. They put Roman Anthony's locker in between Bregman and Duran. Those are the 2 guys they wanted him sitting next to every day.
Oh, they might trade Duran.
Right. But I think it goes to the point about Bregman. I think it goes to show that's how important he was to this team. That's how important he is to the development of the young guys. I think he would be huge. Done it before. And he fits Fenway so well. Yeah. And then the final piece is I'd like to see them bring in a number 2 starter, someone a little bit more consistent than Bayo to back up Crochet in that rotation.
I think it would be if you could get Bregman and then one of Pete or Schwarber. I feel like that would be...
It's a fairly successful offseason.
I think it's unrealistic to get all 3 of them.
Yes.
But, and I don't think you were saying that, but
no.
I think that would be...
I do think if they don't get Pete, they need to bring in someone else to play first base. Casas has been hurt too much. Yeah. I don't really think you can do the platoon thing at first base anymore.
All right, for the Mets, I'll do the Mets spiel. We don't have Tommy here to do the Yankees.
Yeah.
I think bringing Pete back is necessary. I think that there's a chance that he doesn't come back, and then it kind of shifts what would be a success. I think he just means not only is he a great player, the defense thing is overblown. He's not a bad defensive first baseman. He's not a great one, but he's not bad. He not only his power bat in the middle of the lineup is essential, but just what he means to the franchise. He has the potential to be the greatest Met position player. You could argue he already is of all time. Like we don't keep those homegrown guys. He has the home run record. He's hit more home runs as a Met than anybody else. So what he means to the fans, the team, I would like them to keep him for multiple reasons, not just the on-field stuff. I think you got to bring Diaz back too. It would be a tough blow because if not, they already are going to rework that bullpen, so that's high on the agenda list. I think it starts with bringing him back because it's going to be tough to improve if you don't bring him back.
It's hard to build a bullpen if you don't have the 9th inning shutdown guy.
And keep Ryan Helsley away from my team. So those 2 things I think are the highest on the list.
Yeah.
And then I think you need, well, actually, Starting pitching is maybe the highest on the list, honestly, even higher than any of that. They need one front line starter and another, I think, kind of front end.
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't seem like Skubal or Skeens is getting moved right now.
Yeah.
Even Freddie Peralta has been mentioned. Doesn't seem like he's getting moved. But they need one of the top flight guys on the pitching market.
Yeah.
And then another guy.
Yeah.
To add to that young pitching core. So
Starting pitching was ultimately one of their biggest downfalls.
That's
last
what kind
year.
of did them in.
Yeah.
So the pitching is actually even ahead of those other two things. But those are kind of the three things. And then I would like another bat. I think that they could change up. I don't think it would be. They've been connected to Bellinger. I think that might be if they don't get Pete.
Yeah.
Another bat that kind of changes the outlook, and also a center fielder. So that's a lot of things.
Right.
But Steve Cohen, he's got a lot of money. All right, that'll do it. We'll be right back. We're going to be talking college basketball. All right, we are back here on 10 for 10, and we are talking college basketball. We'll start with Albany. We'll start with the men. They 1-2 to start the year. They have a game against Rhode Island tonight when you're watching this. Again, so that's a 7 o'clock tip-off. Not a ton to really dig into. It's still so early. I mean, they lost to Marquette. Big, but I mean, they're a Big East team.
Right.
It's what you'd expect.
What's going to happen?
UMass is a really good team. They lost by 21 to them. So that's a tough one. And then they set a program record for points against SUNY Delhi, who is a Division III team, 115 points to 52.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at it from the outskirts, that's kind of how you'd expect things to go.
Yeah, and I think, those first two games, kind of what DK wanted. He wanted this team to be tested, face good opponents, see what that's like. That's what he got. They came home and they did exactly what you want them to do against a Division III opponent, which is score a lot of points.
And then the UAlbany women, the kind of, I think, a good start for the UAlbany women, given they also play Rhode Island. They play Rhode Island Saturday. 2-1. Crushed Marist opening night, who's a team in the MAC.
Looked great.
74-46. Offense, which I think is the part that Colleen Mullen expected to, come along on the slower end than the defense.
Yeah.
Looked great, 74 points. They lost to Syracuse 64-45.
Sure.
We had mentioned it, like Syracuse lost them last year. It was a physical
They weren't
game.
going to overlook UAlbany.
No, they just brought a lot of physicality to that game,
Yeah.
and it's 64-45. It kind of was what it was. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And then they beat Dartmouth 65-41, took care of business there. So I think a very positive start for the UAlbany women as well.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're seeing this offense work the way that Colleen Mullen wants it to work, they're settling into these systems very quickly, and the defense is also doing what you want the defense to do, 46 points and 41 points in their 2 wins. That's what Coach Mullen wants to see out of this defense.
Yep. Let's move on to Siena. So the Siena men dropped their first game of the season. They're now 2-1.
Yep.
But, I mean, the Franciscan Cup, obviously a big rivalry game, so it's one you want to win. But I think it's a performance that I don't think it's one that you look at very poorly. I mean, St. Bonaventure is going to be a top team in the A-10. They're always competing in the A-10.
Yeah.
They lose by 9. They led for a lot of the first half, kind of gave it away at the end of the first half. And then it was bouncing between 5, 2, 3, and then it kind of crept up to 11, back down to 9 at the end of the half. So a game that I don't think they have anything to hang their heads about. It's one you'd want to win. You want to win the Franciscan Cup. You want to beat your rival, but not a performance you look down on.
It's always tough when you lose to a rival. It's one that you want to win, and it's a game that you circle on the calendar. But at the end of the day, there's not much that the Siena team should be upset about in terms of they played a good basketball team. St. Bonaventure is just a very good school.
And it was a physical game. Yeah. I thought it kind of got a little loose for a little while. And it was it was just it was a very physical game where some calls were surprising. But I don't think that had anything to do with the outcome. It just, those rivalry games, they
always get that way.
They can get that way. So, and then obviously they had beaten Bryant and Brown already, each by 16 points. So they play Colgate on Monday before the Albany Cup.
Albany Cup next
Friday,
week.
which is going to be, I think, just a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I think both sides are really strong this year. That's going to be a really good one next
And
Friday.
then we have the Siena women still looking for their first win, so we'll keep an eye on them. But for now, we're going to move on to Siena soccer for a second. We got to give Siena, the men's soccer team, a shout out here because they have advanced to their first MAC championship game, and they did so in thrilling fashion.
Quite a way.
2-1 over Iona in overtime.
Yeah, Campbell Stalker punching their ticket to the MAC championship. This is always good. I mean, they 2-seed in the tournament, and then you find a way to win it in overtime. I mean, that crowd was rocking today when they won that game. So really good for this Saints team.
So we'll keep an eye on them, and they will play for the MAC championship on Sunday. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk Dutchman Shoes, Union RPI.
Yeah.
Welcome back to 10 for 10, and we are talking Union RPI, Dutchman Shoes. This one's going to be a good one. A lot at stake in this game on Saturday at noon. Union unbeaten in league play. RPI only one loss. So there's not only the Dutchman Shoes trophy on the line for the 75th time, but also a trip to the NCAA tournament is on the line as well in the Liberty League title. So Union, they win.
Right.
They're
Pretty
good.
Simple.
Yeah, they're in. They win the title.
They win. They're unbeaten in Liberty League
RPI
play.
needs to win, and they need help. They need They need Ithaca to lose to Cortland.
Yeah.
That's always a contentious rivalry as well. I'm an Ithaca guy. So that one is a big one, Cortica. But so they'll have eyes on that one as well. But either way, I mean, this is a rivalry that doesn't need it's getting extra juice, doesn't need a lot of extra juice.
No, and I was at the press conference on Wednesday, and you talk to these guys. They know there's a lot at stake, and that's exciting for them. But all of them the main topic was, we want to beat these other guys. This is a rivalry it's the oldest college football rivalry in New York. Yeah. These guys, there's a lot of history. The alumni show out for this one, and there's a lot of juice to it from the start. And you add everything else that's on the line. I mean, if Union wins, they're into the NCAA tournament year 2 under Coach Drock, which would be a tremendous step for his program. Yeah. And RPI, if they're able to win and get the help that they need from Cortland, I mean, it would be quite an accomplishment for that engineer squad as well.
And RPI won last year, looking to hold on to the shoes.
Yep.
You mentioned you were at the press conference, and this is just a fun fact, but when you were cutting that and I popped out with looking at the sound, and it was Anthony DiMatteo, the senior quarterback for RPI. Anthony DiMatteo, I played for his grandpa in high school, the legendary Tony DiMatteo, Coach D, at Somers High School in New York. And he was like a kid who was running around the field and practice and at games. So when he popped up as a senior with a mustache ready to play in the Dutchman Shoes game, I felt old. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking Super Bowls when we come back. All right, welcome back to 10 for 10, and we always end with first and 10 here on 10 for 10, but we don't have first and 10, the official branding this week, but that doesn't mean we don't have football.
Oh, yeah.
We still have football to talk about. High school football. Super Bowls in Section 2. We have in AA, we've got CBA looking to win their 5th straight Super Bowl title, taking on Saratoga, who's looking to pull the upset, haven't been there in a couple of years. Then in Class A, we have Niski, back down from AA this year, looking to get back on top in A, taking on Troy. Yeah. In Class B, we have 2 defending section champions.
There you go.
Glens Falls in B, Averill Park in A. Glens Falls undefeated. In Class C, we have 2 undefeated teams. The defending state champ, Schuylerville, taking on Fonda, who's higher in the state rankings right now. And then in Class D, you have Greenwich taking on Cambridge-Salem. So there's 2 Friday night, 3 Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're getting them all.
Great slate of games.
Yeah,
great slate of games
a great slate of games. We are going to have you covered on Friday night with the Class A and the Class D game.
Yep.
And then on Saturday, it is all hands on deck. We are covering all 3 section championships in AA, B, and C, as well as the Dutchman shoes. And we also have soccer state championships going on this weekend. So you're going to want to watch News 10 Friday night.
A lot of exciting
watch News 10
sports.
always.
Yeah.
And watch the sports team do its thing.
Always.
But this weekend, we're really going to flex our muscle and go out and cover these games. So you're going to want to tune in. But thanks for tuning in for this edition of 10 for 10. We'll see you next week.